under the same roof, we share the love. Embracing the differences like hand in glove. Spreading peace and joy, it's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. United we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world share in love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Watching the World 777. Tonight we have the weekly legal review with our criminal defense attorney, Calvin Johnson. We have so much to get to this week. Oh my, did you hear about the 48 hours that the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, has given Iran to follow the orders, or there's going to be all hell to pay? What does this mean at a high level, especially legally? As we look at the world scene, we're trying to figure it all out. Tonight we have with us criminal defense Calvin attorney. He's going to help us figure it out and break it down so we can understand what's really happening. Let's welcome to the stage Calvin Johnson. Calvin, how are you?
What's going on, Mel? How's everything doing, man?
Quite well, I must say. So, what do you think about what's happening? The imminent threat. It looks like the president is not playing games.
I don't think he is playing games, but the problem is just that he'll have to be able to put troops on the ground or unleash a large scale invasion or a large scale attack against Iran. And the sad part about that is it's going to affect the oil infrastructure, not just of Iran, but a number of other countries. So we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. But I think that the pressure may be getting to Trump at this point because he cannot stand to be in a prolonged conflict. So he may become a little bit more aggressive about what he's trying to do over there in Iran.
Do you think this is a situation where he could actually pull back from?
I don't think it is. I think he's in too deep at this point. The rest of the world is not going in there with him. We're starting to spend billions of dollars a day. He does not want to lose face, which means he doesn't want to be to appear to be a weak leader, and he doesn't want America to looked at as being a weak country. So he cannot step back from this, and he has no backing from any other country in the world outside of Israel.
Do you think at this point Iran has a lot to lose?
They've always had a lot to lose, but the deal is they can't afford to back down, to be honest with you. If backing down means complete annihilation for them, based on the fact that you've already went in and took out their leader. What makes them think that they can trust any peace negotiations from us? They're fighting for their complete existence. And I always tell people, when you got somebody that has more at stake and you're fighting them, even though you may be bigger and more powerful, when you have somebody who's desperate and they're fighting for their very existence, you better be ready and strap them up.
Right. Trust is a big factor when it comes to war. We know that Iran was negotiating with America, or trying to, or vice versa. And then America came back with Israel with explosives.
And see, that's the thing. I think Iran feels like that they have to push back, but I also think that their approaching is very smart. It's not just about fighting America. It's about applying pressure not only to America, but to all of America's allies that are in the Middle East. And by doing that, they've gained a lot of leverage. And then by controlling the Strait of Hormuz, they want other countries who actually are sending their tankers through to get oil to stay out of the conflict. That's a way to get countries to stay out of the conflict. If you stay out of the conflict, we let your ship through. If you don't stay out of the conflict, we'll try to blow your ship up. They have been pretty sly, slick, and cunning in terms of fighting America because they've had to be.
Right. You know what's shocking to me is that now they're threatening to hit Paris, London, all the Rome. So they're even Italy, man. This is getting out of range, right?
It is, and see, the deal is that they may have the capability to do that because of the way that their improvements in their military. And then anytime that you have drones, like you have drones, they can be a huge potential problem for those places, as well as the ability of their scientists to develop technology to be able to actually hit places outside of the Middle East. And that's where we got to be careful. You know, we've kind of played Star Wars and war games like it was a video game with all of this technology that we say we have, but has it actually been put into work? And when you think about it, some of the technologies that said that, hey, we can stop, we can provide a dome of protection. Our stealth fighter cannot be detected. Well, our stealth fighter got hit. Israel does not have a dome of protection. And so you got to start questioning all of these huge promises by some of these defense companies about what their products can actually do.
All right. So I have sort of an issue, and I know you're the man with the plan, right? You're the man with the plan. So it's going to require me to tell a story. So I saw on Instagram and some of these other shorts where Iran was dropping these missiles out of the sky like nobody's business, right?
Mhm.
So then I'm like, wow, I wonder how much of this is AI. So then the president came out and said, oh, this is all AI. There's no major hits in Israel. Then I was watching, sorry, then I was watching the news this week, and the mainstream media says that these bombs are actually dropping. So who do we believe in all this?
I think you can believe Iran if you want me to be honest with you. Our
Really?
president has not been, and listen, you know, he has always kind of pushed the envelope on how he sees things. And that is of huge concern. Nothing against him, but he's been known to kind of fib a little bit. And so I don't know how much all of the American people trust him. I think his supporters trust him, but I think those that maybe not have trusted him and voted for him, we have concerns about his ability to be 100% truthful when we were talking about stuff like this. So, and then on top of that, from what we're hearing, not just from his mouth, but Iran is being very resourceful. They're sending decoys missiles, they're sending decoy drones. They have, for all intents and purposes, been preparing for America to attack them. I think that when Trump attacked Venezuela, I think it put them on high alert that if he'll do that to Venezuela, some country we haven't had a huge bad pass with, what is he going to do to Iran? And I think that that really was a signal to them to get their plan ready. And they probably had already been getting ready. But I think that expedited the way that they were thinking about being in the conflict with America. And so I believe that a lot of their missiles are hitting their points.
Right. This goes all the way back some 47 years when we saw hostages being taken. Then also in 83, we had various explosives happening out there in Iran. This goes on and on. Do you think that this is just, it's all coming to a head and it needed to happen? Or do you think that this is America stepping in when they shouldn't?
I actually think it's America stepping in when they shouldn't. Because I think that when you have a situation like this, I think we kind of went in on our own. We're going to have to foot the bill for the entire war. I think we kind of went in with Israel uh, and believing what they're telling us, and which I think that we shouldn't always believe what another country tells us, Israel or not. And so, with that being said, I just think that us stepping in right now with our economy or being the way it is, I think it's caused huge instability in the entire world. And I think that we need to be extremely careful about moving forward about what we do because America is starting to not be the darling of the world that it once was, and people are looking at us as a threat. And you got to be extremely careful when the rest of the world starts to look at you like that.
I don't really look at things Democrat or through the Republican lens. I kind of look at the facts that's before me.
Yeah.
And I'm troubled when I see Joe Kent, who was serving as the lead of counterterrorism, and he resigns and said that America is lying to the people and
Mhm.
also that this is Israel's war. Like, what are we to make of that? That's serious business.
And I think it is, and I think that we have to be careful because a lot of people will say, "Well, why are you on here talking against the war when we actually have soldiers and we have military people fighting this war on behalf of America?" And I try to tell people war is a very serious thing. My uncle served. I love this country. I love everything about this country, good and bad. I feel like we got a lot to work on. It's not. It's not that we're anti-American asking these questions, Mel. It's a very serious question that we need to ask. And what you just brought up was somebody that was in charge of part of this reason why we went to war. And when they decide to resign and come out and say that they cannot, in good conscience, support this war, they cannot, in good conscience, continue to do their job. And then they tell us that that the government is not being honest with us. It's one of those things where it's extremely disappointing that we're doing this, and it's really, 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 really concerning that somebody in the position to do this job says no. We're not being honest with the rest of our country, and we shouldn't be in this conflict. That is very concerning for me.
Oftentimes people hear individuals like Candace Owens talk about Charlie Kirk and his assassination. And you take it with a grain of salt. You say, okay, she's talking. Do I believe it? Do I not? But then this guy, Joe Kent, came out and he actually said that there's belief that Israel had something to do with Charlie Kirk's murder. That's insanity to hear that from a person that had such high level intelligence.
And I'll tell you, there was somebody, I don't know if it was Candace Owens or another lady that was putting some videos out of some of the security or the people that was standing behind Charlie Kirk when he got shot. And whether you like Charlie Kirk or not, he would really call Israel to the carpet on some of the things that they were doing that he did not think was ethical and fair. And I don't think Israel liked that. And then when you have somebody with the amount of power of a Charlie Kirk going out there not full throated supporting Israel, and then he ends up getting assassinated like he did, it's very, very questionable that assassination in itself. So it does not surprise me that an individual inside our government is coming out talking like this, because when I look back at some of these speeches, now I don't agree with Charlie Kirk. I'm not a Charlie Kirk apologist. Mel will tell you. But I will say that that man actually would take Israel to task on some of their behaviors and some of the things that they were doing. And he was not in support of everything that they were doing. And I think that they had a problem with him for not doing that.
Since the we've had the new president Donald Trump, he has pulled security clearance from various individuals. Why would a guy come out and make these statements when his life could be on the line from revealing such secrets?
And see, that's what I'm saying. What does he have to gain? He doesn't have anything to gain by coming out doing this. He's just decided that at this point in his life, that based on what he's being asked to do, based on his oath and based on his service to the American people, that he cannot in good conscience do this job. So that's the thing. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. I think there's a lot of dishonesty and there's a lot of things that are concerning that are happening, and we need to open our minds and eyes and ears to understand all of this.
Okay, so let's talk about the economy right now. I think you could agree that prior to this event, basically gas was coming down. Okay, the stock market was pumping. I think the Dow hit 50,000. Now things are going in the opposite direction. The president says that this is just an excursion. Do you believe that?
This is not an excursion, it's a full-blown war.
Ooh.
We're losing citizens. We're losing. We're getting attacked at bases all over the world at this point. Um, Gas is up, man. I mean, I've had a client recently tell me, "Well, Calvin, I'm gonna cut the payment by this amount because I'm a trucker. I do these hot shots, and man, with the increasing gas, I got to cut my payment to you." There's also down here in Dallas a Nordstrom's, the Nordstrom store in the Galleria, which is an affluent part of Dallas, has decided that they're moving out of the building and they will no longer do business there. So they're closing down. We had some malls recently closed down out in that area as well. And when I talk about Dallas, to have y'all understand something, Dallas is literally the fourth largest metropolitan area in the United States. And when malls start closing and stores start closing and companies start laying off and you start seeing it and feeling it, and then you have certain other school districts and other municipalities start to have tax shortages because they're no longer connecting tax revenue, you start to truly understand that gas is up. People are not spending as much money as they once were. Companies are laying off. There was already going to be layoffs because of AI and some of the other stuff that's going on. This economy is not good. This economy is not healthy. And this war is not going to help that.
Right. One of the things that I heard today, in harmony with the war that's happening in the Middle East, they're using AI tremendously to hit targets precisely. But where does the line get drawn between AI being used effectively or AI actually turning on humans?
And see, that's the concern that I have for two purposes. Number one, what if AI does turn on humans? Think about that for a minute. That could be a potential problem that we're dealing with now and could deal with in the future. And the other part of it is there's no replacing the human brain. I don't care what you do. Ultimately, the human brain is supreme, and I'll tell you, because it can adjust. It can see real things. You can go ahead and program the AI all you want. But I've heard that some of these countries are doing things to fool the AI. So when you're using the AI militarily, countries, if they're smart, and I've heard some are doing this, if you're smart, you can use the AI for the other country to pick their targets. You can make targets that you have nothing at, and the AI could possibly hit them. And that's because you don't have boots on the ground and you don't have humans, real human decision making involved. And that's one thing you got to understand. And I think that's one thing that we got to be careful about. And this AI is not always the best to use when you're at war, because the fallback on that is, what if the other country realizes that you're using the AI to target them? They can place fake locations and fake criteria that the AI uses to attack and make you use all of your major weaponry on targets that don't even exist. So you got to start thinking about that when it comes to AI and its place in number one in war, and its place in America on what's true and what's not true. We got to be very careful with artificial intelligence.
Barack Obama made a deal to, prevent Iran from going into the measure of nuclear war, right?
Mm-hmm.
They somewhat, I guess, complied, and now we see what's happening. Are countries going forward really going to comply when it comes to nuclear when they see what could happen?
I don't think that they will. I think that that's the thing, that I think there was a delicate balance. When you start attacking places like this, they may say, why should we not have a nuclear weapon? What if you decide on a whim to just come in and take us over like you did Maduro? What if you decide to hit us like Israel did with America and come in on Iran when we didn't even attack y'all first? People are starting to look at that and understand, and that's what the issue is. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those things where We got to be careful. And this is the other thing I want to talk about. Some people think that when we're discussing this or discussing whether we should be in this war or not, oh, y'all are anti-Trump. Y'all don't like Trump. It's not that. It's the reality of the situation. Gas is higher. We're suffering job losses. Oil is going to be $120 a barrel. It's already 108. We had to take sanctions off Iran to stabilize the oil prices. We can't, because we like someone, whether it be Joe Biden, whether it be Barack Obama, whether it be Trump, we can't lose the ability to call a spade a spade. And right now, I bought some gas today, and it was $3.99 a gallon. 6 weeks ago, I bought some gas, same place. I paid $2.49 a gallon. And it's not a lie. That's the truth. And so people have to start thinking about that. And people have to stop making excuses for what's going on in America right now. We got people commenting, oh, anytime we say something, oh, that was already happening anyway. Gas was already going up anyway. Inflation was up under Biden. No, man, inflation is up under Trump right now. Gas is up under Trump right now. Energy prices is going up under Trump right now. They just asked for $200 billion more dollars. And for the Defense Department to be able to continue to fight this war. And then they're trying to say, oh, it's not a war. Man, there are people, you're in a war. We're losing American citizens. Our bases are being attacked. Yes, we are actually in a war, not an excursion. This is not a slap boxing competition. People are dying. So we have to remain sensible enough to use our human brains, regardless of whether we like a person or not, to make some real decisions about what's happening in this country, what's happening in the war, what's happening with these gas prices, what's happening on the job markets, what's happening financially around the world, and the instability that has been created by this attack.
Okay, so we're talking about two different dualities here. On one track, we have this war happening. A lot of people are debating, no, it's not a war. Okay, we could debate that. That's okay. But at the same time, we've had the president go on tour. He was pretty much on the campaign trail again. He hit 2 or 3 states last week. So how do we interpret that? Because he's talking about the gas prices are better, the economy is better. It's almost like a winning tour. What do you think?
And that those other concerns I have, you have to be honest to the Americans about what's happening. Americans are not fools. Just because you visit and give them a hoorah talk, I still go to the pump. I'm not paying $2.49 right now. I'm paying $3.99. And that's the truth. I look at gas prices in other places and they're up 60, 70%, just like they are in Texas. And we're talking about Texas here. I mean, we're talking about oil producing Texas, $2.49 and $3.99 in 6 or 7 weeks. And we got to be careful about that. The president likes to feel good. He likes to be around the MAGA folks. He likes to be around the supporters. They help keep them balanced. They help make them feel good. But there's no feeling good when you got $40 in gas budgeted for the week, and now that $40 has ballooned to $70. And then you can compound that and say if you got $100, $120 for gas, now it's $200. That $80 has to come from somewhere, and it's going to have to come from other parts of your budget. And that's the thing. We cannot play with the American people. And I think the Republican Party, as well as Mr. Trump, they're playing a very dangerous game. People are not stupid. Now, you have people that are kind of his sycophants that will do what the president wants to do. They're not going to question what he does. But real people who go to the gas pump, real people who go to the grocery store, real people who are looking for jobs that can't get jobs, real people who lost their jobs because the company has downsized, those are real things that are happening, and we got to be extremely careful with that.
Okay, very good. I'd like to ask everyone, please hit the like button, share, subscribe. Thank you. Also hit the hearts to help bring more attention to this live stream. Calvin, could you take a moment and tell everyone who you are and what you do?
My name is Attorney Calvin D. Johnson. I'm a 24-year practicing attorney out of Dallas, Texas, formerly city council candidate in Dallas. I hold 2 degrees in political science and history from Howard Payne University, and I hold a law degree from St. Mary's University School of Law. I've been practicing criminal defense, education law, and entertainment for the last 24 years. And I also do this show with Mel called the Weekly Legal Review, where we take on what's happening in politics, law, and government, and we have discussions about it.
Okay, thank you very much. So, what do you think is the best way forward, being that a lot of people are being pinched financially? I mean, what really can they do?
That's a concern. We can't do a lot because if you hit Iran too hard, then you start to squeeze the oil and you're going to make the oil prices go up. And the Iranian oil situation is so tied into the other oil producers in the Middle East that if you hit them too hard, it could affect other people. And if you hit them too hard, they will start to attack our allies in the region. There's not an easy way out. And that's why people have been extremely careful about getting in there in the first place, because the Middle East is treacherous. There's so many conflicts and sub-conflicts that are happening in each country, much less in other countries in the region, that you have to be aware that some people, like, for example, hate America, and the other country may hate America, but they also may hate themselves. Or half of them may hate America, half of them may love America, but they hate the other country. I mean, it's very treacherous. They have so many different groups over there that are controlling so many different things and entities that it's a very dangerous place to get in a situation with.
Right. Do you think, like many people, that this has something to do with the Epstein files, whether directly or if it serves as a distraction? What do you think about that?
I think it can serve as a distraction. I think our president is smart when it comes to when he starts to feel the heat about certain things. He does things to change the narrative. He's very smart about doing that. He's very resourceful about doing that. And so some people think that this war was started so that America's not always talking about the Epstein files. And so I wouldn't put it past him. I can't say for sure, but I wouldn't put him past starting a war so we don't talk about that, because I think there's some very bad, treacherous information inside the Epstein files.
Right. So, moving forward, what would you advise for people that are starting to feel the pinch already and don't really have a second job and, can't really afford with the rising of gas prices?
They're just going to have to cut their budgets. They need to start paying attention to how they're spending money. They need to watch how much they spend on food. Sometimes you can buy in bulk. I always tell people, a lot of Americans are eating out. I know in our household, we do okay, so we're not struggling. But at the same time, sometimes we get a large family order if we eat out that will cover 2 households, mine and my mom's. So there's little things that you're going to have to do at the store. You're going to have to do some things to make sure that you cut your spending. If you can cut down on your driving, if you can cut down on some of the leisure things that you do, I would be cutting down on vacationing. I would try to right now spend money on things that I actually need.
Okay, Jake says Donald Trump is winning.
And see, those are the kinds of things that we talk about. There's some people that are fans of his that will believe anything that he says that comes out of his mouth, and there's so much enthralled into him. They'll say stuff like we're not in a war, like we're winning, and they'll do those kinds of things that just that don't make sense, right? Well, we're in a war. I mean, bombs and drones are raining down left and right. We know that we're not really winning 100% right now because, well, guess what? We're starting to ask other countries to come in, and they won't come in and help. And if you're already a one, then why wouldn't you ask somebody else to? If you won the war already, if you're winning, why would you ask somebody from another country to come help you? If I'm already beating somebody up, I don't need any help. So it's one of those things where you just got to be extremely careful. When
Oh,
you start talking about this.
all right. I just want to, if you think we're at war, put a one in the chat. If no, put a two. Let's see what everybody has to say in regards to that. Calvin, do you think all of this will affect negatively the midterm elections?
I think it will. They're in trouble. Like we're in Texas, and there's this area called Fort Worth, Texas, and there was a district. There was an election over there that Trump had won by, I think, 17 points, and he had won by 21 points last time. The Democratic candidate won by 17 points. That's a 38% reversal, and it's in Fort Worth, Texas, which is known to be red. It's the area that's outside of Dallas that's pretty red. In a red district that Trump won by 2021, he lost by 17 recently. And you're seeing numbers like places in Texas where they're actually, and people go, Texas is a red state. They're a red state by default because they're actually more Democratic voters. We actually have, if I'm correct, about 500,000 more actual Democratic voters that are registered as Democrats in Texas than Republicans, but the Republicans vote at a higher percentage rate than Democrats in Texas. So what you're seeing is you're seeing a lot of Democratic voters come out, and you're seeing a lot of Republicans not come out, and you're seeing independents deciding that they either going to stay out of it or they're going to vote Democratic, but a lot of them are not going back to the polls for the Republicans. So it is an extremely difficult situation in terms of the midterms. I think the Republicans are going to be hurt in the midterms bad.
Okay, Grumpy has a message for you. Could you address that?
Oh my God, if you're in the middle of the war, you call your allies for diplomatic support, Calvin. What the hell? Then he wasn't asking for diplomatic support. He was asking to send real help. He's asking to send some troops. He's asking for some escorts to actually escort some of these ships through the Strait of Hormuz. It's not diplomatic support. He wants real life support, money, ships, and manpower, and he's not getting that. And that's the thing. Hey, if you're a fan of Trump, it's America. Support him in all that he does, and that's your prerogative. But let's not be delusional about kind of what's happening to the point where you believe you believe what he's telling you, and then you call your eyes a lie. So we got to be extremely careful about that.
Shada says North Korea has nukes just like Iran and mistreats its citizens. Why doesn't the U.S. treat them the same?
It's a good question, but with that being said, that we know that they got nukes, and we know that because of their leader, he's a little unstable, that they might actually launch them. We never know what they're going to do. And so I think that's a little bit why we don't just go up against them that way or treat them in a particular way. Now, we went in and attacked Iran, but when you go in and take out their leader like you did, everything else is going to be fair game. They're not going to be amenable to wanting to talk and have these peace conversations when you go out and take their folks out.
Yeah, James says starting tomorrow, ICE is just going to be in the airports with TSA. Hey, TSA, stop the nonsense.
So that people understand, I think that the Republicans are trying to come up with a way to affect the next elections by having not just a state issued ID, but you got to have a voter ID is what I'm being told. I don't know if that's true. And what they're trying to do is suppress the numbers, and to be able to pass a bill, they want that inside of that bill, and the Democrats are balking at that, and they're saying they're not going to pass that. And then the Republicans won't do something without it. And I think ultimately, let's be honest, the Republicans have the numbers. They have the president, they have the Senate, and they have the House. They got to put something on the table that does not have that stuff in there, because people will not be disenfranchised just to pay someone. If they want those people to get paid, they need to put forth bills that are going to allow them to get paid, because they're in control. They control all three houses: the presidency, the Congress, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. You can't point to the other side because you won't put legislation out that's going to pay people.
Okay, there's a message for you from Tammy.
Calvin, you should be worried more about the Muslims overrunning Dallas, my dude. I'm not really worried about the Muslims overrunning Dallas. We have enough Christian folks, real Christian folks here. We have enough people that are true believers of God that they're not going to let that happen. And I don't have any issues with any of the Muslim organizations here. They can do what they want to do. It's America. We're not really worried about them. We're just trying to coexist down here in Dallas. We're trying to pay our bills. We're trying to help our families, and we're trying to make sure that our city progresses. In Dallas, we have a lot of collaboration. We're the fourth largest metropolitan area in the United States. So we really try to work with each other, whether it be Dallas, Plano, Frisco, Allen, Fort Worth, Lancaster, DeSoto. All of these areas try to work with each other. And that's the way we do it down here in Dallas, my man. So if you weren't about that, then don't worry about it.
So you're not that far from the border. What do you think about abolishing ICE, as many people talk about?
I don't think that you should abolish ICE, but I do think what you should do is that they're going to do operations. They should have targeted operations to make sure that they have identified who they're going after and go after them. But riding on the streets, randomly pulling people over just because they look Hispanic, because they look like they don't belong here, that's not something that we should be doing. They tried to come to Dallas, and thank God our police chief said, no, we're not going to collaborate with you guys. Because I'm telling you right now, if I get stopped on the street by an ICE officer, he's going to have to tell me his name. I need to know his badge number, or I'm not doing anything that he asks me to do. Because I'm not going to be mistreated by one of them and not know which one of them did it. So, and that's just the way that law enforcement should work. We have rights in this country. We have people in our families that have fought for rights in this country. And every American should be able to do that, to know when they're dealing with an ICE officer, who that ICE officer is, his badge number and his name, so that if something does go wrong, that they can be able to actually figure out who mistreated them. If somebody does not identify themselves as an ICE officer, show me a badge, let me know his badge number and his name. I'm not doing anything that they ask me to do.
Okay, Tammy says that Musk has offered to pay TSA workers, but Congress would not allow it.
Mm-hmm. The fact that he has the money to pay TSA workers should be scary. I mean, think about this. He has so much money that he can just give that away to TSA. And I'm glad the Congress is not allowing it, but just think about that for a minute. This man has so much money that he can pay every TSA agent to come back to work. Well, we got people out here that can't starve and can't afford housing. We got places like out here in San Branch, Texas, where the fourth largest metropolitan area in the United States, these folks don't have running water, and it's down south. They don't have running water. Think about that for a minute. And they have very few street lights. In a place in America where we're spending billions of dollars in war, we got places that don't have enough street lights and running water. In the fourth largest metropolitan area in the United States. Man, our priorities are screwed.
Could you address the comment we have here?
Trump walked into this rather mindlessly with no understanding of American intelligence and analysis. He prefers Russia's intelligence analysis, and war benefits Russia actually. And I think that this war does benefit Russia because they're going to sell more oil. Their oil is needed now. The price of oil has went up, so they're going to make bigger profits, going to make more money. And I don't think that Trump relies on American intelligence. I don't think he focuses enough on our intelligence and believes our intelligence like he should. I think that when you have somebody in this particular situation, they have to really take into account the intelligence that all of our service members and people in our people that gather that information, that work for this country, that love this country, that have done this job for years. You got to rely on that information, and I don't think Trump has done that. He's kind of mindlessly walked into this, not understanding the ripple effects and ramifications of doing so. And I think that's where we have the problem.
Okay, guys, make sure you hit the like button, share, subscribe. We appreciate all you do here at Watching the World for our weekly legal review. Calvin, could you just take a moment and tell everyone an update? We saw you on the news this week. What's happening?
Well, listen, somebody that I know, Jasmine Crockett, I have supported her when she ran for office, not just this time in the Senate, but in the state house races in Dallas and the House of Representatives race that she won to be in Congress. And unfortunately, a member of her security detail actually was impersonating a security officer. She did not know. She ran into him actually at a church function where he was actually running the security of the church event, right? And at the church event, he actually had, I'm gonna give you some more information. This guy was running the security for the church event, but he had DPD officers working for him. He had off-duty DPD officers working for him. So Ms. Crockett thought that this person was legitimate. He's in a church running security, has a security company, has off-duty DPD security officers working for him. He got off-duty sheriff department officers working for him. And when she had the federal government, do a background check on his company checked out. Well, come to find out, he ended up being not Mike King, who she thought he was. He was a guy named Damon Robinson. And I will tell you how I know Damon Robinson, because I represented Damon Robinson about 7 years ago. And he failed to show up at court after getting another warrant. While on bond, he was defrauding a place called the Sterling Hotel in Dallas. And because he was on parole and he was out on bond, they were requesting an arrest warrant and a revocation of his bond. I called him. He did not show up. And what happened was the federal government, I see a comment, see, Democrats can't do proper background checks. No, our federal government under this administration did a background check that did not find out who this individual truly was, if we're going to be honest. So Jasmine actually sent the company through the background check like she's supposed to. And this administration, this government did not catch it. So she did what was in the protocols to actually catch it. And believe it or not, they did not catch it. And one of the things I try to tell people, this individual was very sneaky. He was very cunning. He's almost like a catch me if you can kind of guy. And that's kind of what happened. And so that's what it is, at the end of the day, that's what happened. And I actually ended up on the news about it. And I explained to everybody how cunning this guy was and how he could actually sneak in the back door and end up being security for somebody like this. So try to tell people when they do security checks, they check the company. And then if you're in the detail, they will check your background. And what happens is, because he owned the company, you're more looking at the officers that are going to be really doing the detail. Now, they're background checking them. They're coming clean because they're DPD, they're Dallas Sheriff's Department, there are other officers from other municipalities that are working off-duty jobs. But because he's not officially on the detail, he's just there as the company owner. That's how he's able to get around doing some of these checks. And he's just very sneaky and cunning. Even it was so bad to the point that even his own mother was involved in the fraud. So you meet somebody's mom and they calling him Mike, you're thinking that's Mike, but nah, his mom. Even his elderly mom was part of the fraud. I want you to think about that for a minute. But that was a very unfortunate situation. But I went on because I was a former attorney for this guy, and they actually put me on the news. I think I sent that to you, Mel. So that was a pretty good report. You got that, don't you?
Yeah, we played it. We played it during the week. We also played the camera footage, right? It
Yes.
looked like he just came to a point where he made a decision to take unalivement.
Well, I think that he knew he was in trouble. He was on bond for one case. He had picked up additional cases where he had defrauded a hotel out of a lot of money, and he was on parole on top of that. He knew that, and I hear how they caught on to him was he stole a federal license plate while he was doing this security stuff. And so an officer just happened to, was concerned about it. So, those guys are a little funny. And he looks at the license plate, and the federal license plate came back stolen. And he was like, whoa, wait a minute. And so what happened was when it came back stolen, they started doing an investigation, And that's the thing, when you look at those things and the background checks, when this government, this administration, you trust the background checks and it's not properly done, things can happen,
All right. Tim has a message for you.
Making excuses for a criminal that hired another criminal. Well, I mean, there's a lot of that going on in this administration as we speak. We got a lot of people. That are taking money out of our pockets, like running advertisements for $200 million, and then actually setting up companies that are in business for 8 days, like Christy Nome, setting up companies that have been in business for 8 days that get $125 million contracts and that we've never done business with. So, that's just what it is in this administration. You do a background check, you don't find much anymore, so that's kind of how that works. Calvin, you should run away from Jasmine Crockett. He has too much integrity to chase the rabbit hole. I don't, when I deal with somebody, in terms of me dealing with Ms. Crockett, she was straight up in our community. She got funding for our community. She got funding for the Martin Luther King Center here in Dallas. She's been to my community and other communities that I'm associated with. She showed up and provided assistance, provided funding, and actually came and listened to her constituents there. So that's how I deal with people. I deal with people based on how you deal with me. And if I hadn't have had those experiences with Ms. Crockett where she showed up and did her job in terms of our community, then I wouldn't be supporting her. I support her based on what she has done in our communities, and that's be honest, show up, get us funding when we need it, and show up and listen. So that's kind of where that's at.
Rudy says that Republicans do their background checks.
Do they really? Do they really? If they did their background checks, then we wouldn't be giving a company that was in business, what, 8 days, Mel? A company that was in business 8 days got a $125 million contract that had never done any business with the government, that does not have a website, that traces back to a PO box, and that PO box traced back to some people that Christy Nome worked with in South Dakota. And so if we did our background checks, we wouldn't have just spent $125 million to give a company some business that had never done business with the government before, a contract in only 8 days, and they don't even have a website. How can you provide services to the United States, get over $100 million contract, and not even have a damn website? $7 million. That's like, let's go, Richard. Richard, let's talk about this. $7 million in lobster tails. I want you to think about that for a minute. Mel, you know what? I've never had a lobster tail.
No?
No, I haven't, man. Maybe I should try one of those. You know, if I work for this administration, boy, I could get a lot of lobster tails. Boy, I tell you, boy, I'd be ODing on lobster tails. $7 million worth. I don't know how much $7 million gets you on lobster tail. I would imagine a pretty good amount. Probably all you can eat for about a year or so. I don't know. But those are the kind of things that we talk about. And it's not just the Democrats or the Republicans. It's all of them up there. The Somali fraud in Minnesota, $220 million on commercials for Christy Nome, $125 million in a contract to a company that doesn't have a website, buying 2 or 3 jets. It's the Republicans and the Democrats that do some of this behavior. And then that's kind of what it is. We need to be extremely careful when we're talking about either one of them. Some have some good folks in them and some have some bad ones in them. But I tell Mel all the time, I call it all out, whether it be Democrats doing it or Republicans doing it.
Why did they put a bed on the back of the airplane? Do you know yet?
I haven't understood that. Now, from what I hear, there was a rumor, and I can't say this, that Christy Nome was sleeping with, Christy Nome's married, was sleeping with Corey Lewandowski on this plane that actually had a bed in it. Now, I don't know why we would need to buy 2 planes and have beds in them, and then lease another plane on top of all of that. I don't know why they would need a nice, big, huge bed. I mean, this thing was plush. I mean, it looked like a bed from a 5-star hotel. But those are the kind of things that we look at. You know, those are the kind of things that you got to talk about.
A lot of Americans are concerned about the draft. What do you think in regards to that? Could it come down to this?
They should be concerned because we could really get pulled into this thing and they could reinstitute the draft. But I don't know if Congress is going to let them do that. I think Congress did not authorize this particular war. Trump went on this on his own. So I don't think that's going to happen. But it very could well happen if we don't get out of this conflict and get out quickly.
Being that you say Congress is not behind it, what are the ramifications if this goes all the way left for the president?
It's really bad because Congress didn't really authorize this. They kind of found out after the fact, you know, and that's the thing, you know. That's why, you know, you got to start talking about it, man. And, you know, as we're looking at this, you know, we're talking about all of this, doing everything on your own. Rampant fraud, you know, just deciding that I'm going to do this and we're going to spend money and we're going to go to war and we're going to attack people and we're going to kidnap Maduro from Venezuela and we're going to bring him to trial in America and we're going to go in with Israel and he doesn't talk to anybody about any of this that he does. He just does it. And those are the concerns that we have with this particular president. Even when the Supreme Court rules against him, he rants on them. And even sometimes decide that even though they told him not to do something, he goes and does it even more.
Right. Why do you think we have so many social media personalities or people from Fox? And basically, most people say they're just trying to play into the hands of the president, whereas other people are catching the heat for talking against the president.
Well, they're not used to a lot of people on Fox talking against this president, but you have to realize there are a lot of Republicans that do not like what's going on right now. This president said no new wars. We're in war. This president said gas prices were going to go down. They went down for a minute until he did the new war thing. Now they're higher than any time that they were under Biden by extra 20%. He said he was going to bring the prices of food and groceries down. That's even ticking up again. And so a lot of people are concerned because he's getting America involved in things that he personally said he was not going to get us involved with. And the things he said he was going to do, the actual opposite has happened.
Wow, that's something. So, what would you recommend as far as with all the changes that this administration is making, and there's so much happening? How do people keep up?
Man, it's really hard to keep up with all of this stuff happening. And see, that's the thing. There's no checks and balances in place. This particular Republican administration, in terms of the Congress, they're never going to go against this president because he wields such a heavy hand that if they do that, that he can annihilate them. Look at the senator race down in Texas where you have Ken Paxton and John Cornyn, and John Cornyn is actually starting to kiss up to the president because Ken Paxton is actually ahead in the polls. The problem is Ken Paxton is dirty. He was the attorney general in Texas. His own people that worked under him turned him in for taking bribes, not prosecuting one of his donors because his donor was giving him millions of dollars. He was using tax dollars to catch an Uber to go see his mistress and cheating on his wife. And it all came out. But the sitting senator now, John Cornyn, is running against Ken Paxton, and he's behind to that guy. And that's the state of politics that's kind of happening right now. You don't have any real leadership. You just have followship, and that's an issue.
Okay, very good. Can you address the comment from Andrea?
Yeah, we need to stop thinking red and blue and start thinking right and wrong. And I think that that's what we need to start doing. I tell people, for the most part, I probably consider myself a Democrat. But with that being said, I don't agree with everything that they do. And I'm not going to agree with everything that they do. I'm also, I also believe in God, believe in Christ. And if they do something that I think is against my beliefs, I'm going to say it. I'm not going to be one of these go along to get along kind of folk. But in this country, we need to be extremely careful. When I say be extremely careful, people are using religion to rope us in. There's no party of God. The party of God is not Democrats or Republicans. It's the Most High. And we got to start being careful about not calling right from wrong. And a lot of what's happening in America, when somebody on your side, if you're red, and they do something that's wrong because it's wrong, but they're red, you start calling it right. Same side on the blue. If they're doing something wrong because you're blue, instead of calling it wrong, you calling it right when it's wrong. We got to start looking at right, wrong, and stop looking at red and blue.
Okay, Tammy says every private plane has a bed.
But to get a private plane, that's an American plane that you said that you were going to use to transport deportees, and then you put a big plush bed on it that's better than most five-star suites, that you actually get mad. You got actually mad at one of the pilots and cursed him out because you didn't have your special pillow and special sheets to go on this bed. And you're rumored to be messing around with Cora Lewandowski, who's a special assistant to the president while you're married. You got to start thinking about that. That's not how we should be spending our tax dollars when you have people out here and you got places in America that don't have running water. but we're spending $7 million on lobster tails. Let's be honest.
All right. James is a 24-year attorney too out of New York here, Calvin. You guys have to link up.
I got to link up, James, man. Thank you, my brother.
James says it's difficult. They will never go against Trump.
They will never go against Trump, I don't think. I think that a lot of them, they would, you even have some of them that decided to not run for office again because they don't want to go up against him because he wields so much power. He has so much of a cult following that they will not go up against him. And then that's sad because if you see him do something wrong, I dare you say something about it, because if you do, they'll annihilate you and you'll never get elected again. And that's the sad part about all of this.
Country Carpenter had mentioned 47 years we've been dealing with Iran. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's 47 years we've been dealing with Iran, and a lot of what they're doing, you got to be careful with them. They're a dangerous country, don't get me wrong, but we have to really realize, if you want me to give you a history lesson, let's give you a history lesson. For the longest, the Great Britain and America controlled the oil in Iran, and they installed this guy called the Shah. And when they installed the Shah was like letting American British oil companies just take the resources out of Iran. Iran decided that they didn't like the Shah anymore and they wanted to remove him. So when they told America, we don't want him in here. You get this guy out there. We're going to pick our own leader. America said, no, we're going to leave him in there. We like him. So Iran decided, no, we're going to remove the Shah. So the Shah gets wind of them coming to take him out. America comes in and swoops him up, takes him out of the country to a safe place and says, no, you can't have him. You're not going to do that. And they're like, hey, you got to bring him back because he's been betraying our country. He's not doing what's in best of Iran. He's allowing American and British oil companies to do all of this stuff. He's dirty. He's taking money. He's taking kickbacks. And America said, no, we're not done doing that. And then they took hostages. So this issue with hostages was behind us not returning the Shah, and then them deciding that they were going to take hostages because we would not return the Shah. And it all started because we were taking their oil, American oil companies and British oil companies, and taking advantage of them. So let's be honest. I mean, America's imperialistic, and I can't really talk about that because we're an imperialistic country at times, and we've done that. That's why we're one of the biggest, strongest countries in the world. But what that is, that's just the truth. We have to be honest. And so we've been fighting this fight for 47 years because of that. And so with that being said, I don't wish anything bad on anybody, but hey, I don't want them having nuclear weapons. I don't want them attacking us. I don't want them to have the ability to attack us from where they sit. So if you have to go in and make sure that they don't have that ability, that's fine. That's great. But with that being said, to go in alone, to not have any approval from Congress, to not have a entry and an exit plan that's going to allow us to be able to get out of this thing, I think that's crazy.
Okay, very good. Speaking of Maduro will be in court this week on the 26th, so we look forward to that. Can you address the comment by Grumpy in regards to this?
Which was passed by Chuck Schumer. We had authorization by Schumer to arrest Maduro. Hey, I get what you're saying with Maduro, but you got to be careful because of the optics of that. You look at it, but with that being said, I don't know if we had that authorization to go snatch up Maduro like that. Maduro definitely had some issues with the way he was conducting himself and some of the things he was allowing to come to our country. But when you start going into other countries and going and just picking up their leaders and then flying them out and trying them in American courts just like that, we got to be careful about how we do that.
So let me just ask you this question. Based on America, Israel going into Iran is targeting all of these other places. Do you see any viable solution to this going forward?
I don't see a viable solution, Mel, because you can't really attack them like you want to, but it's going to affect every economy and it's going to affect every other country in the region. If you continue to slowly piece this out, then the more this drags on, the more America has a problem. I think Iran has been waiting for this day to have to deal with us like they're having to deal with us. And I don't think that there's an easy way out. I think this is going to drag on for a long time. I don't have confidence in this president and this administration to get us up out of there because they won't be honest with us.
Okay. Brian says red and blue, all brothers in Christ.
That's true, and that's what I try to tell people. And I try to tell people if you're truly a follower and a believer that you should put God first above any party, any president. You should put your faith first and put Jesus first. And those in red and blue are not doing that, and they're putting their party first. And then they're trying to align their ideas of the religion that align with their party and align with their party's leader. And we need to be careful about that.
Okay. James says tax dollars are paying for it. We pay for it.
And we do pay for it. We're paying for this war. We're paying for this war, while at the same time, people in this country don't have health care. Places like San Branch, Texas, don't have running water, and enough street lights. A lot of Americans don't have health care, don't have benefits to be able to eat, even though they work at places like Walmart, who don't pay them enough. But Walmart gets to has our governments supplement their pay by giving them food stamps because they don't pay enough to their workers to be able to afford and make a living. So we got places like that we need to deal with that about there. Then somebody said Dallas has a water problem that was caused by terrible spending of the dams in Dallas. Thanks, Crockett. No, that wasn't the situation. That water problem has been there forever. If you're not from Dallas, don't speak on Dallas business like that. With that being said, Jasmine's only been in there for a short period of time. This problem has been created a long time ago. Dallas is a sprawling area. We need to work on our infrastructure here, and that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to get them folks some water out there. I got my brother Derek Avery, who is one of the community leaders down here. Man, he reports on this every day. He gets pallets of water delivered out there. He's working with the people in that community. So when people talk to me about this, we actually get out and we do the work, in the Dallas area. I have a company called Sarum Foundation where a nonprofit called Sarum Foundation, where we've done 47 neighborhood cleanups in the last 6 years, where we get up and clean up the community, and we help our seniors. So we're actually putting in the work, but we need our government to step up and make sure this stuff happens.
So let me ask you this question. When it came to Joe Biden, when he debated Donald Trump, and he was flubbing all over the place, the Democrats basically said he has to go. Within probably 48 hours, you heard some of the higher up names saying, we need to replace him. When Donald Trump makes any mistake, the Republicans stand behind him 10 toes down. Which scenario do you respect the most?
I don't respect either. And I'm going to tell you why. In one situation, they knew that Biden was deteriorating. Now, to his credit, he wants to stay in there to try to fight for the country, and he wants to continue to be in there. But at the same time, he needed to understand that he was not capable of leading this country an additional 4 years. I mean, look at the condition that he was actually in. He wasn't in condition to be president anymore. And the Democrats should have been ashamed of themselves allowing him to continue to do that. They should have pulled him to the side and said, hey, look, we can't do this. It's too much risk. And as far as the Republicans are concerned, to follow somebody, this president, and not be faithful to their own constituents when they see that this man at times is lying to them, or when they see that this man is doing things, going it alone, not talking to them about what he's doing, attacking countries without getting a war authorization from Congress, doing everything he wants to do on his own, just because they want to support him and stand 10 toes down with him. Their allegiance should not be to him. It should be to the people that elected them. And that's why I don't respect either.
Okay, Rick Young is asking you, is Maduro innocent?
Hell no. But is it our job to police the world? Is our job to fly in and take him away and bring him to America like we did do it? I don't know. If that's what you think we should be doing around the world, then we got about another 70, 80 flights that we need to make to pick people up and bring them to America. You got to start thinking about that. Like, so is that going to be the precedent that we set now? We don't like you. You letting too many things happen. It's hurting America. We're just going to fly in, pick you up, bring you to American courts. You got to start thinking about that kind of thing.
A question that has been asked during the week is, how come other countries aren't coming to pick up Donald Trump with his 34 felonies?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Well, they couldn't get in here, number one. Number two, that's a good question, right? He has his own issues, and that's the thing that we got to start thinking about now. Whether you like Trump or not is it's not even part of this question. Could we have found somebody better in this country to help run this country? Could we have had better candidates, better than Kamala, better than Mr. Trump? Could we have had better candidates to choose from as Americans to run this country when we have very smart, intelligent, dedicated people that are involved in politics and business? And people wonder, could we have done better in terms of leadership in America? And I think that we could have.
Okay, can you address John's question?
Iran and nuclear capabilities, they would hold the world ransom. Yeah, they would. But at the same time, if they had nuclear capabilities and we knew for sure that they had a nuclear weapon, we would blow them to smithereens. And that's just that, because we're not going to allow that to happen. And that's just how it is. Maduro stole the election. Yeah, well, that's what they do in other countries. There are plenty of other countries that stole elections. And there's one that's trying to steal one now. so so if you want me to be honest, so somebody said many business, Jesus is fake. Well, that's your opinion. But it's America. We can believe in Jesus if we want to. Or we can believe in Jesus when it fits our politics, I guess. We have every right in America to do that.
Okay, Miss Patties, could you address that?
I think we will get out with a little more time. This will not drag on. No, ma'am. This will drag on. And unfortunately, I wish you were right. I'm hoping you're right. But as Charles Barkley would say, I may be wrong, but I doubt it.
Are you amazed by the president's tariffs?
Yeah, I am. Because they have effects on so many different industries and businesses, and people can say tariffs are good, but I've known a number of businesses that went belly up because of the tariffs, because it creates different financial realities that in some situations with the tariffs, it made other companies in other countries be competitive with American companies because they could actually build to the price because the price went up because of what Mr. Trump was doing. And so you got to start thinking about that. So those tariffs are not all good. Oh,
Okay.
don't speak on Dallas. Oh, who are you to tell me what I can speak about or not speak about? Hey, I'm not telling you who you are to speak about. Speak. Matter of fact, I tell you what, speak on Dallas all you want. We're probably not going to listen to you. But speak how you want to speak. I mean, no problem. You're free to do that. And continue to watch the show. Continue to comment, Tammy Pierce. We love your comments. Whether you care for me because I'm a Democrat or not, hey, continue to speak. Continue to talk about Dallas all you want to.
Oh my! Look at Purple Groovy's comments. So amazing.
I'm old enough to remember when this social network was called a school playground. You're right. And these kids and these people need to understand how they have to connect with each other. We jump on the internet now and we talk bad to each other and we disrespect each other. We say stuff to folk that you wouldn't say to them in person. Those are the type things that we do. And then the internet's a place where you can come on and you can just support your candidate regardless of what he does. And like I said, they said Mr. Trump could kill somebody, and nobody would testify him in the middle of Times Square. Nobody would say he did it. And they said, Tammy Pierce said, Kevin, what the underlying charge? He can't tell you. What do you mean the underlying charge? Underlying charge of what?
Donald Trump, 34 felonies.
Oh, man, I just, what? Once again, we're not going to go and deal with stuff like that. He went to court. A jury of his peers found him guilty. The American justice system works again. It is what it is, and it's one of those things where that's what it is. And it said, praying that Jesus is real. God is not pleased, but we are at the end of times, as the book of Revelation say. Shakise, I know her, great conversation, great person. She's right. And see, I will tell you, God is not happy with us. We have lost compassion to people that we should have compassion for. See, I'm like this, and God requires me to be this way. Just because you disagree with me politically does not mean I hate you, and it does not mean that I feel like you don't have a right to speak on situations or or like me or not like me. And I truly believe that God is not happy with us because, and I'll tell people, I went to Baptist University, a private, we call them PWI, private white institution. But I had a lot of great friends there. We went to chapel. We went to chapel every week. I went to a Baptist university, so we learned about God. We prayed together. We sang together. I actually had to go to chapel 2 to 3 times a week at our university. But as I look at some of the behavior of the people, even some of the people I went to school with, we were not taught to do some of the things that we're doing. And we were also taught never to put anybody above God. And I think that we've started to put our political candidates above God. We're putting our political positions above God and our faith. And we're not doing what we're supposed to do. And I don't think God is happy. Cheryl Wilder said, as Bible prophecy is unfolding in the world events, this proves that it is the word of God in scripture. Jesus reveals Jesus is God, John 3:10-30. And I definitely understand that. And I think that we are in a situation in this world. And I always try to tell people you have a lot of people that are MAGA that say that they're Christians. You have a lot of people on the left that say they're Christians. But in both parties, they're doing a lot of things that the Bible speaks against. And so even though we may be politically involved, I'm a traditionalist. I believe in the good book and what it says and how to live by that. And I think that both parties are doing and behaving in ways that God's not happy with. So with that being said, we got to be extremely careful about how we are moving forward. And in addition to that, I don't think the church has the sway that it used to have in American politics. And well, I'm gonna say American politics, but in American households, I think it has too much sway in politics and not enough sway in American households. And each sect of religion, whether it be some in the MAGA world or some in the far left world, they're doing things in ways to please themselves politically as opposed to actually following the word. So that's just the truth. And one person just put country carpet, humanity, love humanity. You're right. We got to love humanity. We got to be about each other. Purple Groovy 69 said, artificial intelligence will not destroy the planet. Irresponsible human intelligence will. Oh my God. Hey, 2 thumbs up. Thumbs up. Let's give a gold star to Purple Groovy 69. And that's what it's about. And then the other person says, it was written, nothing we can do about it, what meant to be. I definitely understand that everything is happening for a reason. There's people that have prophesied that we were going to get into a war, and I think we're in one. Sharon Stevens, 8242, says separation of church and state. Definitely, there is a separation of church and state. So, we should have a separation of church and state, and I think that we've lost that. Church has become politics. And then Mark Stoltz said, you are a liberal. I'm liberal on some things, and I'm conservative on other things. I'm one of these people where you can't put me in a box. And then one of the things I try to tell people is I'm a common sensist. My common sensist, that's what I am. I'm not a liberal or straight conservative. There's certain things that I'm liberal on, and there's certain things that I'm conservative on. And I think a lot of us are like that. I think a lot of people in politics try to paint either you as a MAGA or paint you as a far left liberal. I'm neither, and I'm not going to allow anybody else to define me as such. Most of the policies I support are Democratic, but with that being said, I'm conservative, even very conservative on certain things. And so when those situations come up, I'm not going to be quiet just because one party or the other supports something different from how I feel. In America, we need to start taking a hold of how we feel. We're being told by the left and the right to feel a particular way, and we shouldn't allow them to do that to us. My fat sister said Trump is the Antichrist. There are a lot of people that I know that believe that that is true. And there are other people that believe that he is the second coming. So, I don't know which direction you feel that is, but I know plenty of people that agree with what she said. And I know plenty of people that agree with the opposite.
Let's talk little bit about the Epstein files. Do you think that the president had anything nefarious going on with the Epstein files?
I think he did. It seems like he didn't want to let Mike Johnson release the stuff. He seemed to really get involved in whether it was going to be released or not. He seemed to become too involved with it, and it just didn't look right. And he told us he was going to release them. And that's one thing that they said he had bonding. Remember, she sat down with that big old binder stuff, and she set it on the table. We're going to release this. How long ago was that, Mel?
That was in May. Almost a
Man.
year. Almost a year.
So you
They
mean to tell me it takes a whole year to flip some pages and release something? Nah, man, it doesn't. Come on, man. We got to be extremely careful. You know what I'm saying?
right. Grumpy says the church has had influence for 5,000 years.
Yeah, they have. They had influence for 5,000 years, but I think that politics has influenced the church. I don't think church is influencing politics anymore like they should. And I think that's where therein lies the problem. The politics are wagging or the head now, and the church is the tail. And the church used to be head, and the politics used to be the tail. And that balance has went completely the opposite way, and that's why we have a problem.
Okay. We'd like to ask everybody in the audience to please hit the like button, share, subscribe. We have 15 minutes left. I'm going to drop the link in case someone wants to come up and have the conversation with us. We just ask that you're dressed appropriately and also be respectful and, be mindful of everybody else and their feelings too. Calvin, could you take a moment and tell everyone who you are, what you do?
My name is Attorney Calvin D. Johnson. I'm a 24-year practicing attorney. I do state, local, and federal criminal defense here in Dallas, Texas. I've been in federal court on several situations before. I hold 2 degrees, bachelor's of science in political science and history from Howard Payne University in Brownwood, Texas. I hold a law degree, a JD, from St. Mary's University School of Law in San Antonio, Texas. And I attended the Law Magnet High School here in Dallas, Texas, which is called the High School for Public Services, Government, and Law. So since the age of 13, all the way now to 53, 40 years, I've been involved in politics, government, and law. And so that's what I bring to the table. So that's kind of what I do. I can be reached several ways at attorneycalvindjohnson@gmail.com, which is my email. My website, they won't let me out.com, and a phone number at 214-565-5600. And this is who I am, Attorney Calvin Johnson. And me and Mel do this show, the Weekly Legal Review. We started this show about 7-8 months ago, doing a Diddy trial, and I actually you correctly predicted Sean Combs's sentence that he was going to get. I was within 1 month of it. So we started doing reporting on the Diddy trial, and we expanded it to a weekly legal review. And that's kind of what we do here. We talk law, legal, we talk legal, politics, and government, and current affairs in America. And we do this every week, 6 p.m. Texas time, 7 p.m. New York time.
Okay. Can you address the comment?
Mr. President Trump, please give us freedom. We are begging for freedom. Hey, I definitely understand that. Let's give us freedom. And let's have freedom for everybody. Let's not just have freedom for the folks that voted for you. And so stop treating people that didn't vote for you like the enemy. We got to get on top of that. And Cherry Twatter said Christians should influence policy, i.e., abolish abortion and uphold traditional marriage between male and female. And see, those are the type things that we always talk about. The Bible speaks of some of these things, and a lot of people, if you don't, or if you speak of what the Bible says about that kind of stuff, they'll either point to a different Bible or different interpretation. And with me being a traditionalist, but with that being said, I definitely understand that. I agree with that. But at the same time, I always tell people, you have to let people live the life they want to live. Even just because I'm a Christian I'm not going to push my ideas of marriage on somebody else. If they want to do what they call as marriage over there, then you have to let them do that, because this is America. Even though I may not approve or believe in certain particular things, I still believe that people have a right to do what they want to do. And I think that if you're going to come to God or come to Allah or come to whatever you believe in, you should come to your religion, your beliefs on your own. I shouldn't be pushing my beliefs on you. And that's just kind of what I believe. Whether you agree with what somebody's doing or who they marry or some of the abortion things or not, live those things in your life and just share that with other people. But ultimately, they have a right to do what they have to do. People who want to truly come to God are going to come on their own.
A lot of people really haven't learned too much about Israel, but now it's heavy on everyone's mind. Why do you think that's the case?
I think because I think they would kind of push this president into doing something that other presidents didn't do, which means we feel like a lot of us feel like Netanyahu talked Trump into doing this with him. And all the other presidents had kind of not allowed this to happen.
Okay, thank you very much for the super chat from, let's see, Commander, I believe. Thank you so much for that as well. Calvin, could you tell everyone why it's important to hire an attorney versus trying to represent themselves or maybe use an ex-con?
Well, the reason why it's important, like I said, we had somebody on our show, man. We had a guy on our show. I forgot that guy's name. What's his name, Mel?
Sean G.
Yeah, Sean G, man. He was on here telling us what he'd done. He'd been locked up before, and he'd been in prison before, and he knew the system. And Sean was gonna get 20, he won't get more than a year, and then a year's supervised release. And he'd been in jail before. And he actually asked me, well, what gives you the right to come on here and tell us, you attorneys, come on? What gives us the right is we go to law school. Like I did everything in my life I needed to do. Just because you got tricked out of your position, and you did not go to school, you did not get the education, you did not go to college, you did not finish college, you didn't sit for the bar exam, you didn't sit for you didn't sit for the LSAT to get into law school, you didn't go to 3 years of law school, you didn't sit for the bar exam and pass it the first time through. You didn't go out here and practice law for 24 years. That is what gives me the right to speak on something, and some random person on YouTube doesn't have the right to speak on them. They have the right to speak on them, but you should not be listening to that person. You should an attorney who's been to court for 24 years or 10 years or 5 years. Get somebody who's went through the act of going to college, taking the LSAT, going to law school, passing the bar exam, opening a business, and actually do it every day. You should want the most qualified person in your corner when you're struggling with the most difficult time in your life. So that's why you should hire a lawyer as opposed to just listening to some random person on YouTube.
Okay, guys, take a moment and definitely hit the hearts. We're light on the hearts tonight. Also hit the like button. Stella, I sent you the link. Can you post the link? I text the link to you. I think Grumpy wants to come up, but the link I put in is not working. So if you could just post it for me, that would be great. Okay, we have the link if you guys would like to come up and join the conversation. Calvin, one other thing is, what do you think? Um, do you think we're ever going to have a unity between the Democrats and the Republicans?
No.
No?
Unfortunately, no, unfortunately. I think honestly, the Republican Party fears that maybe democracy in the way that it has been working for the last 400 years no longer works for them, which means that they're probably going to have to start cutting the amount of people that are voting because they're concerned and about the racial ethnicity and the racial makeup of America and the birth rates of certain groups. Like there are more Hispanics in America now, and they're blacks and Hispanics. If you add them up, I think that there are more of those than actually Anglo Americans right now. And I think that this Republican Party has pushed the fact that your whiteness or somebody being white is you should be Republican, and then the blacks and the browns are against you and all of this stuff. And I think they're pushing that, and I think that I think it's getting to a point where we're starting to just look at people's races as opposed to looking at their hearts, looking at what they'll do instead of being unified. And I think that the Democrats themselves are too, they're guilty of some of this too as well, pushing identity politics. I think the Democrats and the Republicans are pushing identity politics. And if you don't agree with the identity that they're pushing, then they excommunicate you. And so those are the concerns that I have. I think politics has become too racial at this point. But at the same time, certain groups feel like, hey, we have to be racial based on what has happened to us. So I don't know if this country can come together under any circumstances now. I hope I'm wrong, but I've started to lose my hope. I'm starting to lose my hope that can happen and my optimism that can happen. I would hope that something can bring us together, but I don't know if anything can anymore.
All right. Can you address Cheryl's comment? Actually, first, though, Stella, can you just take a moment and try to come in through the link? I won't bring you on camera. Just come in through the link to see if it's working because people are saying they can't get in. Calvin, could you address Cheryl's comment?
My concern is the God will judge our nation for having allowed abortion and non-traditional marriage. And there's a lot of people that feel that way, and I try to tell people, people that are traditionalists, that believe in the Bible, that believe in the scripture as it is written, feel like that those things should not be allowed. And then they feel like punishment is going to be placed on America for allowing those things. I do believe that too as well. But at the same time, You can't control what other people are doing, and I don't want to be talking out the both ends of my mouth, but at the same time, you have to allow people to come to God and do the right thing sometimes on their own. So when you say allow certain things, God did give us free will to either follow Him or not follow Him, and those that are not following the Word are not going to go to heaven and they're going to perish. And so at the end of the day, a person has a right to follow the Word and follow God or not follow God, and there are going to be consequences one way or the other. But I definitely understand that.
All right. Can you address the reply?
Sure, really, but red states have the highest infant mortality, poverty, and gun deaths. And see, that's the thing too. We got to start looking at everything globally. Start looking at all of the stuff that's happening, and we talk about red and green. I mean, red and blue, right? But we talk red and blue, but the truth of the matter is the green, right? It's about money, and people got to start realizing that. But what they're saying is infant mortality, poverty, and gun deaths, and the fact that there are a lot of gun deaths and mass shootings, and we would not take weapons out of people's hands, but we say we're pro-life. I mean, there's a lot of arguments that can go around all of that. We got to watch all of that. You want people to have the opportunity to bear arms, but if somebody has some mental problems and they're bearing arms, man, they don't need weapons, and so we got to start thinking about those kind of things.
Okay, so we just take a quick pause there for a second. So Stella was able to come in to the back office. I see her quite well. Thank you very much. So I'm not sure, guys. You can hit the link, try to come in again. It seems to be working. Thank you very much, Stella, for doing that. Appreciate it. All right, Calvin. So, um, in conclusion, is there any points that you would like to share this week? Actually, before we do that, maybe if you have another 5 minutes,
I
can
got
we
it. We'll
talk?
go. We'll go
Okay,
longer.
can we talk a little bit about Nancy Guthrie?
It seems like they're not finding her, and I think honestly, I always tell people the first 48 hours are most important. And when you go this long without hearing something, this is not going to end well because to me, I think it would be too, and I hate to speak negatively, but it would be too hard to keep somebody alive, keep somebody under wraps for that long period of time and nobody not know where she's at. She's probably not with us, unfortunately, but it's a very, very unfortunate situation. Somebody loses their mother and then they don't know what happened to them. And I think that there's probably should have been maybe handled a little differently in this situation. But at this point, I just don't know if they're going to ever find her.
I have a question for you. This week, they were back in the neighborhood talking to some of the local construction workers. I guess there were some homes in the neighborhood being worked on. But
Hmm.
wouldn't the dogs have picked up on that on the first night?
That's what I would have think. That's what I would have thought too. That the dogs would have picked up on that, and I just don't understand how certain things didn't happen. I think the dogs would have picked up on that, and I just think that with all of these flock cameras and all of the cameras that are involved, seems like we've got more and better leads in this situation, and it didn't seem like we got enough of those, and we didn't get enough of those quick enough, and so you would think that the dogs would have picked up, but unfortunately, in this situation, they did not.
Right. This week, actually, last night I did a presentation. The local news they actually interviewed me. I agreed to it. Last night they did a hit piece and said, "Oh, these people came from other states. They're causing chaos in our
Mhm.
local community." That's what the mainstream media is pointing fingers at YouTubers, independent media. Why do you think that's such a big deal?
They're scared of y'all because you don't have to report up to anybody else. You can tell the truth. You can have your opinion. You can if you see something, you can call it. You can say what you got to say. And what's happening in America right now, and a lot of these newsrooms, and the reason why the ratings are down at all the networks is because you got people up top trying to tell people below them, the news reporters, what to do and what to say. Look at what's happening in CBS. CBS is now trying to take the mantra of being Fox. They're now trying to outfox Fox. And anybody that doesn't agree with that, then they're trying to get rid of. And so you have a situation where the YouTubers have stepped in and are able to tell the truth in real time about what's happening. They don't have to run a report and get it approved by two or three managers and the editor up top. They can report in real time what they see. You guys are a threat. You guys are a game changer. And what you do, Mel, and others do, we need that service. And I think that a lot of people are not happy with y'all that y'all do it, but a lot of people in America are happy that you can actually report it. You can report it in real time. You can say what you got to say, and you ain't got to put spin on it.
Now, most of the crime scenes and also the court cases go into federal court. I'll be in court tomorrow about a case. It's often defined by a press pass. That's how you're able to get into the scene or court. Why don't they focus on that?
And that's the thing. They should focus on those kinds of things. But they're when you guys scoop them, and when you guys bring breaking reports, and people like you that you remain neutral, Mel, you just report what it is. You don't give your opinion a lot. You put it out there and you say, "Hey, this is the information. Use it how you must." They're afraid of folks like you because people like you are going to tell it like it is, and you don't have to worry about your editor up top and the editor on top of that and the owner of the newspaper or uh, the media group to say you can say what the truth is and you tell the truth.
Okay, can you address what Tom is saying?
Independent media is controlled by their audience, no different than mainstream media. Um, it's the difference in mainstream media right now. Mainstream media is controlled by billionaires that own those companies that will not let you say certain things or not let you do certain things. Independent media is controlled by their audience. Mainstream media somewhat is controlled by their audience, but if you're on mainstream media and you go against what that particular company is trying to push, they will not let you report it, and that's just the truth.
They actually had one of the representatives, the state representatives, coming forward saying, "We don't want people coming out here to the crime scene. We only want the mainstream media." A lot of people are pushing back on that.
They can't tell us what to do. It's America. I try to tell people it's America. You can do what you want to do as long as you're not infringing on anybody else's rights, right? And you guys going out reporting, you're not infringing on anybody else's rights. It's America, and that's what I try to tell people. When it comes to religion, we can believe what we believe in, but you can't just push it on somebody else all the time. Because honestly, in any religion, I want you to come willingly to my side. I want you to come willingly to my faith. I'll tell you about my faith, and I hope you come. But if you don't come, I can't push what I believe on you. And see, this is the thing. In America, you can ask these. You have freedom of speech. You have the ability to report. You have the ability to go out. You got freedom of the press, and you ought to be able to do what you're doing, Mel. And people like yourself that go out and tell it like it is. We need more of you.
Is it lawful to go into a church?
It's lawful to go into a church, but the minute that they ask you to leave, you got to go. I tell people all the time, in most churches you can kind of go into, but the fact that somebody like Don Lemon was going in and then when they ask him to leave, they would not leave. Now you're trespassing. Now you're wrong. Now you're doing too much.
Right. I guess the person that I think the pastor had just stopped with the prayer, and
Hmm.
then they stood up and started doing their shouting or whatever they did.
Yeah,
That's not enough to encroach on the rules, or no?
I think it is. I think when that pastor, when they stand up and do the shouting, and then when they're told to leave, they got to leave. If somebody came to my church and then they start to be a little disruptive and we said, hey, you got to go, and then you don't go, then it's a problem. You
Okay.
understand? You're welcome. Like you can welcome in there. But the minute that you're not welcome and the minute that those people say you got to go, you got to go. I wouldn't want them doing it in my church, and I'm not going to do it in theirs. I'm just being straight up honest with them.
Right. Let's get back to Nancy Guthrie since you have a few minutes. Is it normal for the local sheriff to really push back on the FBI and say, "This is my case," kind of a deal?
It is. It is sometimes, but sometimes they feel like the federal government is doing too much, and then you have to think about it from this point. A local sheriff, he doesn't want to seem like he can't handle Arizona problems or that particular county's problems. So they'll feel some type of way. But usually when the feds come in, man, on kidnapping cases, they're going to take precedence over the local sheriff.
Okay. What do you think is the big issue here as to not figuring out this case? Not even, they don't have a vehicle after all these days, man, 50 days almost.
I just wonder what they're doing. And I think that maybe I feel like hopefully maybe if the federal government would have came in sooner, because I think they have more resources and they have the ability to be able to get things done quicker. I think that would have been helpful. I just don't know what they're doing out there, man. And you would think that they would have a lot more information, especially with all the cameras and the flock cameras and the technology, man. When you commit a crime nowadays, man, you got to worry about not just the eyes of actual witnesses, but 50 or 60 other eyes, depending on what direction you're going into.
Right, right. Um, Even with the videos that have come out, the guy tends to try to approach the front door. Some people are saying they went through the back. Do you think a person would have spent all that time at the front to only just turn around and go to the back?
Uh, no, I feel like they got in there and they somehow got in and got her up out of there. They probably covered the cameras and they probably got in there some kind of way. And then that's the thing. I still believe that once you get a certain point, you can't have somebody just walk up to you, do it when you're famous or you got a famous loved one. Like her mother, I know she took care of her mother. You can't allow somebody to be able to just go through one security measure and then be in the house with her. You just can't allow it. You got to have access. Like I've seen houses that got gates and then they have another gate. You got to have multiple levels of security before people can actually get to you.
So let's go to the video really quick. The person walks up, looks like the backpack is full. I mean, we don't know without a certainty, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you think about that whole setup, you think they came to take things or they just targeted and came to take her?
I think they came to take her. I think they came to take her, man, because that's what it's about.
Really?
Yeah, because they feel like she's a high dollar person. They knew who she was when they took her. They didn't just randomly take her. I think they knew who she was. And I think they wanted to probably try to get paid through some kind of maybe cryptocurrency or some other kind of currency. And I think that's what they were trying to do.
Wow. There's about 5 different intersections as you're leaving there with cameras. I don't know how effective and how much AI. You said the sheriff is actually complaining, saying, "Hey, we asked for better cameras and you guys didn't approve it." It seems like there's some tension there politically in their local municipality. Do you think the sheriff should have let the cat out the bag?
I think he probably did. I think he may be frustrated that they wanted more cameras and did not get them. I know there are a lot of municipalities that have asked for camera systems and they didn't get them. And then sometimes the local municipalities did not approve a flock, the camera out of Florida being placed in their communities. And I think the sheriff's departments around America love those things because they make solving cases easier. I've had plenty of cases involving flock cameras here in Texas that they were game changers in finding people who had committed crimes. I mean, we got flock camera footage on a murder that I was working on one time, and I was like, wow, man, these things help you solve crimes. I mean, I was in another case where a flock camera identified where some individuals were 2 days later that committed a crime on the north side of town, and they were on the southwest side of town, and they got caught just because they ran through a light that had a flock camera.
Okay.
So, man, that's crazy. I want you to think about that for a minute. So, that municipality probably either asked for the sheriff probably either asked for more cameras or the ability for flock to be able to be in their communities and probably got turned down.
All right. So let's just do a quick process. Maybe you could tell me if this sounds absurd, and we'll go through maybe 3. Tell me if you think it's possible or absurd. I was in court sitting behind Nicolas Maduro, and I told you I'll be in court this week on Thursday, sitting behind him again. In court, he says that the United States came in and kidnapped me from my living room, and they kidnapped my wife. He kept saying that in court. With the timing of Nancy Guthrie, could this be some sort of payback for what happened to Maduro?
I don't think that's that. I don't think there could be something like that. I think whoever took her, because when you look at it, Good Morning America, they're not so pro. Not Good Morning America of Today Show. They're not so pro Trump from what I watched when I watched them. So I don't think this is something that they did because of Maduro. I think you're kind of left field on that one.
Okay. Okay. Here's number 2. When you go to Nancy Guthrie's Facebook page, everything is negative about Trump. Trump, 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 Trump. And there's a lot of things that would probably trouble the average person. Just some of the posts about Trump. Do you think she could have stirred someone of Donald Trump's base the wrong way and they came after her?
That's a
Absurd
possible.
or could be possible?
That could be possible. I mean, look, we have people that comment on our show, and no matter what this president does, they're for him, and they'll get angry if you go against him, and they will call you an idiot. They'll call you this. They'll call you that, and they're really tied into this particular president. Man, they love him to death. And if you say something about him negatively, some of the derangement that happens with some of those folks that support this administration. And I'm not saying just because you support this administration, you're deranged, but there's some people that are deranged to the point where you say something negative about that, and they'll come get you. So that could be something that could be true.
Okay, here's the third one. Savannah Guthrie, the daughter, came to town in November for a big parade, a fanfare.
Hmm.
Is it possible that someone saw her on the TV and that's what triggered this whole event? Maybe even they aired it. It's very close to Mexico. Maybe someone saw it and says, "Oh, because remember, someone Googled the address and they also Googled how much money does Savannah make." You think this could have triggered someone, maybe cartel, to say, "Wow, this is an easy lick right by the border. Let's go
Yeah,
grab her and bring her through."
it could be a situation like that, and they may have not known that the block was going to be as hot as it was when it came to people looking for her. And so that could be something that could have happened because people will Google how much you make, and people will knock on your door and snatch you up, especially down there by the border. You're in Arizona. There've been a number of organizations that will do that. There's some people that realize, hey, she makes $20 million a year. Let's go ahead and snatch her mom, see how much we can get.
Okay. I have two more, and here's it'll be really brief. There are some people saying that she interviewed Epstein's victims. She also interviewed Trump, and the interview went really left. They feel like it has something to do with Epstein that from a high level that came as a sort of payback. Does that sound like something absurd or possible?
I it could be possible, but I think it's more absurd than possible. Uh, I think there are plenty of news people that go and interview folks that are involved with the Epstein Trump investigation, and I think to just single her out, I don't know if that would be something that's going to be effective to stop it. So I don't see the real motive in that. I don't know how true that would be.
Okay, here's another one. There's a construction worker working in the neighborhood, just happened to see her. They have some fantasy about elderly women or whatever, and decides to start stalking her and rolls up on her one night and take her from her bed.
That could very
Nothing,
well
nothing to do with Savannah. None of that. Just straight to her.
that could happen. I mean, you got people that see the construction workers that, let's say, they go in the neighborhood and work every day, and they get to watch people's routines, right?
Mm,
I remember when we were living in Dallas one time, back when I first started practicing law. I had this little house in this little neighborhood, and everybody in the neighborhood, we kind of watched out for each other, but everybody had a schedule. One lady did cut her yard at one time. One person left the house at a certain time. I left the house at a certain time. And one lady came sit on the porch at a certain time. And believe it or not, somebody had been watching, and my neighbor across the street, the time that she left, when the person that cut their yard went back in the house, and before the lady came sit on the porch, is when they broke in her house. So it was somebody that was just sitting back watching us daily and deciding that, hey, I know the routine. I'm going to go in and get her now. That
ooh,
could very well happen.
okay, here's the last one. A family member is having some financial difficulty. They decide to do this to their relative. So they come up with the entire plot. They hire someone to walk up on the camera to distract from them, hide the camera. Then the family member walks in through the front door, maybe even use a key or left the door unlocked. And then they come up with ransom letters just to throw off the police officers. Does that sound plausible or absurd?
That's plausible. There have been many cases where family members were involved, and they took people, or they played a part in taking people. People that make money, sometimes, let's say I got a relative and I'm making all this money, and I decide, hey, I want to ask my relative some of that money they're making. And what if they say, I can't give you any money? I got my own family. I'm not going to randomly give you some money. There are some people in your family get mad about that, and they'll call you selfish. And they'll say, well, you know what? She got all that money. If I do this, maybe I can kidnap her. I can get some money out of it. Sometimes that's the truth.
Right, right. One last one, one last one. In this particular case, the person has the gun holster gun right in their midsection crotch. As a man, it would be difficult to run like that, right? And
Yeah.
you might end up having to run in this situation. But at any rate, um, what do you think that it could have been someone that had law enforcement background? Because they say, your typical gang member in the street, they don't use holsters. A lot of the FBI agents said they just stick it in their, the belt line.
Yeah.
What do you
That
think
could
about
be
that?
that could be true because there's certain things that were done. If you're involved in law enforcement, sometimes you know how to avoid getting caught. You know how to avoid certain things, but there's certain things that are natural to you that you will continue to do. I used to always watch this thing called the Cold Case Files or the New Detectives, and some of the ways that they would catch people is there was a guy who was doing these robberies, and they saw that he would use a military stance when shooting his gun. And so they were able to deduct just from that a lot of information about who he actually was, right? And so there are certain little things that about some of these people that you can find out that they actually do, and you can
Okay.
use that information. Yep, that could be very well true.
And here's my final question of tonight. What do you think from 1 to 100? What are the chances that the person who did this has come back to the scene repeatedly while everybody's out there covering the case? 1 to 100. What do you think?
I would say
And before you answer, I want everybody in the audience, what is the likelihood from 1 to 100? Put your own number in the chat that the person has come back while everybody's reporting on the case and they've been on the scene. Let's see what everybody has to say. Go ahead, Calvin.
I would say 70%. You know why? A lot of people that do stuff like this are sick. They like to admire the work. And then on top of that, guess what? By coming back to the scene, they can actually get information on the investigation and make sure they stay on top of things. People that do crimes and that commit fraud and do this kind of thing, they're extremely cunning. And I've seen many situations where they insert themselves back into the investigation after the crime is committed. And I think that this could be a true reality here. I would say 70%.
Right, right. Well, very good, man. Thank you. I enjoyed doing this process. This was pretty fun, getting your ideas about the different scenarios. I see a lot of scenarios in the comment section throughout the week, so it's nice to throw them at you to see what people. I think the audience likes seeing it too because a lot of them have expressed these ideas throughout the week. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's amazing.
And that's great. And listen, y'all, next time we put a link in the right there in the comments. We want y'all to come up. We want y'all to become part of the show. So next time, if you're gonna watch this show, watch next week. Be prepared to come in, and if you're dressed properly and you have an opinion, hey, jump up on the screen. Even Mr. Grumpy, you're welcome. You're welcome to come on with the Trumplicans that support you. So it's okay, man. We want to have a conversation with you. Come up to the screen and speak your piece. Continue to be a part of the show. We want more interaction. We want more people that are not on the show that just are able to come up in the section and talk to us. Continue to rock out with us. We will be back next week, 6 p.m. Texas time, 7 p.m. New York time. The only thing is, Mel, I will tell you, there's a chance that I may get to actually go to a game. NCAA game, women's game. One of my assistants is the aunt of Michaela Blakes, who is the player at Vanderbilt, one of the best college players in the country, and they actually happen to be playing in Fort Worth next weekend. So go Vanderbilt Commodores. Shout out to Michaela Blakes and her aunt Sylvia Gilliam, and hopefully they are successful in their tournament run.
All right, thank you very much. Would you like to give us some closing words for this upcoming week?
Listen, if you watch this show, come in with your opinions. If you support the president as well, support president, you're welcome to come talk to us. Just be honest. We're going to be honest. There are things that we like that the Republicans and the Democrats do. We're going to talk about it. We want you to become a part of this show. We want you to watch out with us every week. You're welcome. Just try to be respectful. Don't call us names. We won't call you names. But come in and really try to enjoy the show. We respect the people that watch us. We respect the people that want to come out and rock out with us. Continue to support the show, and we will see you again next week.
Thank you.
Different voices, but the same song. Building a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the flame remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days in sight. United we stand.